Hey guys, welcome back to here, and I have a lot to say, so get ready for my 2 cents about everyone's favorite cookie, the chocolate chip cookie, or maybe other cookies. I don't know. We'll see how this we'll see where this conversation takes us. Um, so one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about chocolate chip cookies is I didn't know a lot about it. I also took a lot of thought about why I started baking cookies or what drove me to baking cookies or how I landed on baking cookies. Long story short, I don't know. I did a lot of thinking and it's just a faint memory. I can't recall the first time I baked a cookie. It was probably a Nestle Toll House, which brings me to the origin of the chocolate chip cookie. Brief research tells me that in 1938, the chocolate chip cookie was introduced by Ruth Graves Wakefield and Sue Brides when they owned the Toll House Inn in Massachusetts. Cue the brain explosion emoji because I know Toll House and the chocolate chip is a staple of baking, but I really didn't know that it kind of stemmed from an inn and like these two women who owned this inn and wanted to create this cookie. Um, so yeah, fun fact of the origin of the chocolate chip cookie. And since then, I think everyone has really taken uh, their own interpretation of what it takes or what the ingredients are. So I've done a ton of research. I've looked at a lot of recipes. I admittedly have never tried the Nestle Toll House recipe that's usually on the back of a chocolate chip cookie bag. Um, but I have definitely found a favorite, and I've also seen a lot of different takes on it, like dark brown sugar, light brown sugar, using pastry flour. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a 3-to-1 ratio of all purpose flour and cake flour. To chopping up chocolate, to chocolate chips, to chocolate dots, nuts, not nuts. I don't know how you guys feel, but my hot take is that I do not like nuts in my chocolate chip cookies. Um, I understand the textural element that it can provide, but I just I don't like it. I think it takes away from the key ingredients, which are chocolate chips and butter. But I know that there is a hotel, and I forgot which one it is. So my friend Eric can tell me at some point. But their recipe utilizes walnuts, which again, I'm anti nut. And then also, I read that they use lemon juice in their cookie recipe, which I find very strange. I also don't know the reason why. And I also haven't tried it. So it's really popular. I don't know if it's Hampton, and now this is going to bother me, and I should have had this in my notes, but it's a really popular cookie. My friend Eric, hello, Eric. He actually told me that he would pretend to be a student and go into the hotel and get free cookies because I guess they gave them out to him when he was a student. So that's how much he loved those cookies. And so maybe it is worth trying. But the lemon juice definitely throws me off. So my favorite recipe that I love to use and have tweaked ever so slightly is the Chef Steps recipe. And it's very simple. It's very straightforward. If anyone's been on the Chef Steps website, all of their recipes are visually very easy and also directionally very straightforward. They do it step by step exactly how you would see it, and also how they also have pictures. And I really love that about a recipe. And I will give kudos to all of those recipe testers and cookbook authors out there because writing a recipe is not easy. I think that we internalize a lot of the directions. And so when you write it on a recipe, you tend to forget to roll out the dough, or, this is when you need to drop the eggs in. It's just so easy to forget everything that you need to put into a recipe or put into something in order for it to come out the way that you envision. And a lot of that we just kind of do it in motions, but it never really translates when you have to write it down. So I just wanted to take that time to say kudos to those writers and those recipe testers, because it's not an easy feat. So I love Chef Steps because of that reason. They really check off all the boxes. They don't let you forget anything. It's almost foolproof in that way, because you know what it's supposed to look like from when you cream the butter and the sugar to how much the cookie weighs. So that's one of the other things that I love is I'm very precise. I use a scale to measure my ingredients out to the 0.0 degree. And that's what Chef Steps does. They do it by weight. And like I said, even with how much each cookie should weigh. So yes, I do spoon each cookie out and put it on a scale and plus minus how much it should weigh. And I love that because I love the uniformity of the look of a cookie. And then also for anyone who, if you're sharing it with someone, then you know that, okay, this person's getting a 55-gram cookie and so is this other person. And there's no favoritism there. So that's how I see it. And that's how I love doing it. I really highly recommend anyone using the Chef Steps recipe. But I've also seen Bon Appetits, so BAs, they use, I think, dark brown sugar, wheat, and also brown butter, which honestly, I don't see or taste the difference. It's lovely when you brown butter and it's got that nuttiness smell, but the work that you have to put into it, I don't know if I see the yield here. I find it low yield, but some people will die by brown butter chocolate chip cookies. That is not what the hell that I'm willing to die on. I just use the straight butter at room temperature. Shout out to Kerrygold. That is my jam. The gold foil is my jam. And it's also been very controversial of whether you should use unsalted or salted butter. I think you're going to be okay if you use salted butter. I was very much against it for a very long time, but someone, I'm not going to name names, only buys salted butter. So I just had to go with it and make it work. And, the feedback that I get from cookies is that the salt content is great. I think salt brings out flavor. So for me, when I use salted butter for the Chef Steps recipe, I decrease the actual salt content that goes into it. So the recipe calls for, I believe, 15 grams of kosher salt, but I just bumped that down to 9 or 10 grams of salt. And it works. I haven't gotten any feedback where it's too salty, but that's just a hot tip for anyone who's going to use this recipe. I've also reduced the brown sugar and the white sugar by weight by 5 to 10 grams. Again, I just wanted to see if there was any difference. If it was sweeter, I think the difference is very negligible. So if you want to use less sugar, I think you should go for it. And then for chips, I know they use chopped chocolate. I use this Ghirardelli brand type called the Super Cookie Chip. And it's basically a smashed chip. So it's very flat when you look at it. Just imagine a chocolate chip cookie being flattened a little bit. So the surface area of the chocolate is much larger. So when you bake the cookie, you get more chocolate and cookie surface area, or it's more evenly spread. So you get a good amount of chocolate and cookie bite all at the same time. So it's really hard to find. There's only one HEB, at least near me, that I find it. So I always stock up, but feel free to use regular chocolate chips. chopped chocolate, chop the chocolate chips, which I've done before too. Um, and I feel like I'm rambling on all of these tips and it's all scattered everywhere. But basically, what I'm saying is you can do whatever you want. You just find a recipe that you think is that you like or that is most straightforward, and then you can kind of just do plus minus whatever you feel like, and just see if you notice the difference or the taste or the texture, because that's what I've done with this one Chef Steps recipe. So when people ask me what other ones I've tried, I don't have a terribly long list because I just changed the one that I use the most. And then the other one I think also uses brown butter is Serious Eats. And those are kind of my go-tos, I'd say, for recipe finding is BA, Bon Appetit, Chef Steps, and Serious Eats. A lot of their writers do a lot of recipe testing. So I respect and trust them. And then I kind of just experiment on my own. So yeah, that's kind of my hot take. I get a lot of questions about what recipes I use and also when am I going to make cookies? And to that, I just want to say, when the time comes, I don't ever know. And during this whole COVID process, I kind of started a side hustle, or it was just a side brand. It's called Cookie Tuesdays. I developed this plan where I only wanted to deliver cookies on Tuesdays. Also, just another opportunity to use my name in a pun, but also thinking it from a business style that I only wanted to really do cookie deliveries on one day. Unfortunately, what I learned is that even though I only have one day specific to cookie deliveries, I have the other 6 days where I have to figure out who wants cookies, pricing cookies, supply, when am I going to do it? So I don't know if Cookie Tuesdays is going to survive as a sustainable business, but it's always going to be a great brand and the unofficial sponsor of this episode. So thank you, Cookie Tuesdays, the pop-up cookie shop that happens on the rarest of occasions. We appreciate your support and sponsorship. So yeah, that was what I did during COVID, which then leads me to kind of rating this week or rating how I feel, kind of things on my mind to wrap up this episode. And just to kind of give a time frame of when this is all going down is the biggest news that happened this past week is the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I know a lot of people feel down about it, but I think finding the silver lining here is that she did a lot of wonderful things and really blazed a path for women. And I think we can all say that we appreciate everything that she's done and how much she's done and the time that she spent here, really paving a way for other people to do, to be inspired by her and to do more things. So upon that, I would have to rate my week, I guess, just as a 6. It's not super great, but I also don't want to be too negative. So I'm rating it as a 6. Rest in peace, Notorious RBG. And I will see you guys next time.